Hello Starfleet Battles players. I'm replacing my Starfleet Battles Cadet Learn to Play videos with Learn to Play on VASSAL. Starfleet Battles is a game that's available at starfleetgames.com. You can get access to it through the Starfleet Battles link. There's a store there as well that you can purchase this from. There is a free Cadet version available. It's right here under Cadet Training Manual Rules, SSDs, and Counters. And the Starfleet Battles Cadet module is available as a VASSAL module. Just go to vassalengine.org. And you need both the engine and the module. And here is the Starfleet Battles Cadet Training Manual module. Just download version 10. That's what we're currently up to. And on the primary page of the VASSAL Engine website is the link to actually download the engine, and it'll automatically detect your operating system. If it doesn't, use the link right below it for the other operating systems. And there's also a donate button here where you can help support the VASSAL game engine. It does, after all, provide you with about 1,800 games for free that you can play online. So I've already loaded up the Starfleet Battles Cadet module. There's information in the help menu that you should take a look at. And again, this is an officially permitted module from ADB. And in scenario 3, you are doing basically a convoy raid. Now if we take a quick look at the rules for scenario 3, some of the rules that you're learning. Movement procedure, impulse chart, determining what shield was hit, shield boundaries, learn disruptors, firing procedures, the general rules for drones, and there's some special rules for the freighters. So as of yet, they don't have you using the damage allocation chart. Each freighter moves at a speed of 4. After receiving 10 points of damage, the speed is reduced. After receiving 15, the speed is reduced again, etc., etc. Or you could just jump into using the damage allocation chart if you read far enough ahead, and you can come back and replay this scenario. So basically, in this scenario, a total of 25 points is required to destroy the freighter. 5 for the shields and 20 internals. So we actually bring up a freighter. As you can see, there's not much to it. You literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 18, about 19 internals to the freighter. So a 20th hit would exceed the excess damage and blow the ship up. You could use the damage allocation chart if you wanted to. It's not that hard to use. You just have to start using dice rolls. But let's see. Let me minimize the map size here. Okay, so I have the 4 freighters loaded down below. Acme Inc., Warlon Messengers, Blackwater Deliveries, and Universal Post. And the Klingon ship here is the IKV Destruction. Sorry, just pause the video there to avoid a sneeze into the microphone. So if we bring back over the scenario, there is a setup for the scenario. Players, required materials, where to locate the position of each unit, the length of the scenario, the speed. The freighters will move 4. Klingon player can select any speed from 0 to 8. He can change speed every turn if he wishes. The drones launched by the Klingon have a speed of 8. You can replay it with a 16 impulse chart and use the appropriate drone speeds accordingly. And the objective. The freighters are trying to escape by moving off the map, off the east end, the 28 edge. And when they reach 2811, they have disengaged. And the Klingon player must destroy all 4 freighters before he can leave the map. And then there's some increasing difficulties. An instant replay and for later use. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to allow the freighters to each use their shuttles. And I am going to roll a die roll for each freighter at the first time I fire at it and exceed its 5 points of damage. It will reveal itself to be a Q-ship if it is a Q-ship. And the difference between a Q-ship and a freighter is it has an extra phaser, extra battery, sorry, 2 extra phasers, 2 extra APR, a tractor beam, a little bit less cargo, but it has armor. So it's harder to kill. So what I'll do is I'll roll a die, and if it rolls a 6, it's a Q-ship. Okay. So you still don't do energy allocation yet, but we are using the 8 impulse chart. So let me pull that up. Let me make sure I've got this configured. So we are going to be using drones, and we are going to be using shuttles. So I will leave all 4 stages there, and we will begin. So the Klingon is going to go speed 8, and the freighters are going speed 4. So everything has moved on the first impulse. We then have launch stage. Oh, there are robot rules. Let's see, are the robot rules in this section? I wonder if the robot rules are here. Yeah, robot rules are in setup 4. The rules for the freighters are probably in the setup. That's where I'm looking for them. And they're right up in here. They'll fire their phasers as follows. Freighter A will fire its phaser at the Klingon, or at a drone targeted on itself, then at a drone targeted on another freighter. On impulse 2 of return, freighter B will fire on impulse 4, impulse 6, and impulse 8. In other words, it's not going to allow the freighters to concentrate their fire. So, 2, 4, 6, and 8. It's not that bad. So, yeah, let's do that. So, first impulse, everything is going to move. We have launch stage. Klingon's going to hold off on launch. The 4 freighters, however, are each going to launch a shuttle. And we'll just use the Federation. Or do we have civilian counters? I forget. Merchant, under merchant. Freighters. Oh, I've got freighters in the base. I didn't create generic shuttles. So let me just use the Federation shuttle. So each freighter will launch its only shuttle. Basically doubles its fire output. And they take 2 impulses to bring up their phasers. So impulse 2, everything moves. Oops. And even speed 4s at this impulse to move. And that is the second impulse. So the shuttles aren't up and ready yet, but the first freighter is able to fire. So we can do this clockwise, I guess. This will be A, B, C, and D. So at range 1, 2, 3, 4, the first freighter will fire its phaser 2. Phaser 2 chart is here, and a roll of 4 does a 3. So it does 1 damage. That actually wouldn't be the number 1 that just got hit, it would actually be number 2. Because next impulse, the Klingon moves and the freighters don't, so it's a side shield. Now the Klingon also has a shuttle. I'm not going to launch it yet, but I'm going to put my pieces over there so I can grab them later. And on this fire stage, the freighter would have fired. And it did its 1 point of damage. Impulse 3, just the Klingon. And the speed 6 shuttles. And here the shuttle's weapons are up and ready. Since this one is at range 1, it'll fire its phaser 3. So phaser 3 table is here at range 1. Pretty much everything but a 5 and 6 does 4 damage. On the 4th impulse, the freighters will move. Oops. And the speed 6 shuttles move. So speed 6 shuttles in the Cadet game are really fast moving units. Or in the regular game, speed 6 shuttles are actually rather slow. On the scale, these would actually be speed 2 shuttles if we were to reduce the speed the same way the ships are. It's a 32 impulse chart divided by 4. Speed 6 shuttles divided by 4. Yeah, actually it'd be speed 1, really. 1.25. But we'll leave them at speed 6. And the Klingon moves. Okay, so impulse 4, everything moves again. Okay, so we have 2 shuttles at range 1. It's impulse 4. The freighter back here is going to fire. These 2 shuttles here at range 1 are going to fire. So let's fire the 2 shuttles. 2 5s at range 1 is 3 damage from the phaser 3s each. That's 6. And these ones are off the shield. The next freighter fires. It rolls a 1 at range 3 for 4 more. And that's 4 hitting this shield. And we are at range 1 to the first freighter. And I'm going to fire on it. So it's range 0 and 1, so let's roll a 1 to 5 for 5 damage. Let's zoom in here on the map to 100%. So that's probably going to be about 5-10 damage from the disruptors, and then I've got 2 phaser 2s that are directly forward firing that I can fire, and 2 phaser 2s are about 4 damage each for 8. So I'm going to fire the 2 disruptors, my 2 phaser 2s, and I'm also going to launch a drone. That's a speed 8 drone just on the map. Okay, so let's roll my 2 disruptors and my 2 phaser 2s. Okay, so the 2 disruptors hit for maximum damage, 5 and 5. The phaser 2s not so well. They did a 5 and 6, which is 7, so that's 17 damage to the first freighter. And I'm going to roll a die to see if it's a Q ship. A 6 is a Q ship. It's a 4, it's not a Q ship. So here's the first 5. And let's see. I believe the rule said the first 5 would kill a phaser. So I got 2 more to go. So that's the first freighter. And I think I've got a problem with the SSD. Yeah, I do. The last box doesn't appear to be hitting any cargo. I'll have to look at them later, but they're still usable. Okay, so the next impulse, that would have been the launch and the fire stage. So the drone, sorry, didn't mean to move all of it. Just the drone moves forward. The Klingon ship is going to turn down. Okay, let's grab the units on map here. Find the Klingon ship. Okay, so these counters seem to have lost where the Klingon ship is. So let's refresh the counters. There's my Klingon, and it's going to turn down. So sometimes you do get a synchronization issue with VASSAL, and that's how you would solve it. Okay, so that was 8 7s and 5s, so that's everything there. This is not impulse 6 yet. Okay, so a drone just struck. So that hit for 6. And in the Cadet Scenario 3, the shuttles don't really, or the freighters don't really have shields. And I refreshed my damage, kinda. Anyway. Yeah, so there's a 7. Now the 6 from the drone. And at this point, the freighter starts moving speed 3 at the top of the next turn. And it treats the shields as not being there once you lose the first 5. So this is actually a freighter without shields. It's just the way it's used in this first scenario. The other scenarios, the shields are actually there, kind of thing. Okay, so the Klingon now has another phaser 2 that arcs. That was movement damage. Nothing to left to launch. The Klingon does have a shuttle, which he will now put on the map. And on the fire stage, he's got 2 phaser 2s. He'll fire one at the same freighter. He'll fire the other at the next freighter down. So the first phaser is this one. Second phaser is at the other freighter. So he rolls a 6 and a 6 on the phaser 2 table. And range 1 is 3 more internals on that first freighter. And on the other freighter, it's a roll of a 4 for 4 damage. And that would be at 2, 3, 4. So that's at this one. Again, this is just a weird way the shields are working in this one scenario. We're not actually really even supposed to be keeping track of shields in this one. It's just an accumulated 25 points of damage kind of thing. I'm just marking them on the SSD as if it were there. So the first 5 points takes out all the shields, etc. Now I gotta roll, see if that's a Q ship. Roll of a 6 it is. It's a 1, it's not a Q ship. Okay, so that was impulse 5. Impulse 6, everything moves. So it's going to be this freighter here that's about to fire. Nope, didn't mean to do both. Speed 6s are going to move. This Klingon is going to sideslip over, but the freighters are going to move as well. So just a reminder, when you've got multiple units stacked, unless you're used to double-clicking to select it, you should use the units on the map. So the Klingon does its side slip. This shuttle has now reached its range 1, because the other two are in the same hex up here, so there's one shuttle here, two shuttles here, and one shuttle here. So it's going to fire a phaser 3 at the Klingon. 5, that'll do 3 damage, and it is on the shield. So the Klingon's fired all its weapons. It's also the same impulse that the third freighter is supposed to fire, so that's first one, second one, third one. So it's firing on the same shield that the shuttle hit. Roll 5. At range 2 is 3 damage. So that would all be happening here on fire stage. So that's everything fired for the turn except for the last freighter and for the Klingon shuttle. And Klingon shuttle has moved once. This is impulse 6. Okay. So next impulse. The Klingon shuttle can move. The Klingon ship can move. And the Klingon shuttle will fire. It does a 1 for 4 damage. So that's 1, 2, and then boom. So this is now removed. And this is now removed. Its shuttle, however, is still in play. So that all would have happened on fire stage here. And then impulse 8, everything moves. There are 2 shuttles in that one. On the last impulse, the fourth freighter, which is now up here, would fire, and it's hitting the number 5 shield of the Klingon. It rolled a 1, range 3, for 4 damage. Okay, that would have happened on fire stage. So at this point everybody reallocates. The Klingon here would desperately start throwing power into fixing its shields. But anyway, so turn 2, impulse 1, everything moves. That's at speed 8 is moving, so that would be the Klingon. And we'll start firing the shuttles on the same impulses as their freighters now. So that's movement. Klingon would launch a drone. At the freighter. And it would fire 2 disruptors and 3 phaser 2s at the freighter. But let me double check something. Klingon disruptors at range 0 aren't available. So it's going to fire its 3 phaser 2s. (622) at range 0. So 622, so that's 12 and 5 for 17. There's 5. Six, 7, and 10 more. And within 10, it's supposed to destroy the phaser. So that all would have happened on fire stage. That was impulse 1. So that is the first time that freighter has been hit. So is it a Q ship? No, it is not. So only 1 freighter is left unknown. And on the same impulse, the Klingon shuttle will fire at the unknown freighter, just so that we can get that out of the way. Here's the roll to see if it's a Q ship. It is not a Q ship. Here's the roll for the damage. So phaser 3 at range 2 is 4 damage. So roll of a 2 at range 2, 4 damage, and that would be on the freighter here. Okay, so impulse 2 will be the first freighter's time to fire, but it's already destroyed, so its shuttle will be firing. But everything moves, including speed 4s. Speed 8 Klingon. Drone moves. And the speed 8 Klingon is going to turn. And the shuttles I'm going to do that. And again, the Klingon is sitting on top of the freighter, so its disruptors are not going to fire at range 0. I could fire them at range 2, but they only do 4 damage if I do that. So the first shuttle will fire. At this point I forget which one it is. Let's see. Should have labeled them. But anyway, sending them off of my war shield. No, they're not. Okay, so I'll make it be this one is the first one fired. Since it's my next worst shield, so it will fire. And do 4 damage. In this scenario, basically, we're picking our own damage kind of thing. Let's just take a quick look. Okay, so impulse 3, the 6s and 8s move. So that's the Klingon. The shuttles. Trying to remove the drone there, so let's pull up the units on map and do it through here. Okay, so this is freighter number 2 or B, so that'll be this one, and the Klingon's going to fire its 2 disruptors at it on the fire stage. There's nothing to launch anymore. Matter of fact, since the shuttles aren't ever going to land, let's remove that. So the 2 disruptors fire on this impulse. For 10 damage, and that would be at the second freighter. So that's going to kill the last shield out of the 5 and do 9 internals, and one of those first 10 can kill the phaser, so that's that. So 1, 2, 3. was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did one too many. Here we go. So the Klingon has one phaser 2, right side still left to fire. Impulse 4, that would be B freighter that would be firing, but its phaser just got lost. So 8, 6s, and 4s all move, so everything moves. So let's see. Start at the bottom here. Shuttle's going to turn. This Klingon is going to side slip out. Freighters all have to go forward. Let's mark everything moved to get rid of the slime trails. So I got one phaser 2 left, which I can fire at the freighter directly behind me, which would be ABC freighter, so that would be AB, this SSD right here. So let's do that on the fire stage. Roll of a 6, range 1, 3 damage. So I now have one phaser 2 and the shuttle phasers that are going to be firing at me. And the phaser is the one that fires on the last impulse. Okay, so second shuttle's phaser. That one will be this one. Next impulse. Next impulse will be the fifth impulse. Speed 6s don't move, speed 8s do. So that means the shuttle would be firing on my number 4. So phaser 3, range 2, roll of 5, 2 damage. And I've shot off 2 drones so far. As you can see, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Impulse 5, speed 8s are the only thing on the board that moves, which is the Klingon. Everything moves. So that's the shuttle at range 3, firing at range 3. And rolling a 1 at range 3 for 3. Shuttles and me. Okay, I've lost where my other shuttle is. 2 of them are at 10:09. Okay, so there's 2 of them in here. Okay. And on the last impulse, everything moves. Thought so. I've lost a Federation freighter, or shuttle piece. It's not even showing me the location, or giving me the ability to delete it. Which is fine, I'll just leave it as it is. If I reduce the map, I may get that back. Nope. So somehow I lost a piece. And the synchronization is not bringing it back. But as you can see, it's easy enough to throw another counter on the map. Peculiarities of the VASSAL module. And we're almost up to an hour. This is taking a little longer than I thought. Okay, so that's impulse 8. The last shuttle will fire. And I do believe that is the one that's now at range 2. Range 2, roll of a 3 for phaser 3. Is 4 damage. And the freighter off my number 1 would fire for a 4, phaser 2 for 4. And then energy allocation. First impulse, everything moves. They're going speed 8. And at this range I have 3 phaser 2s that will fire at the 4th freighter. And I will launch a drone. And my 3 phaser 2s. At range 1, so 1, 6, and 1. So 13. So that last damage does the last shield hit. So 12 inside. And that's going to hit the phaser for the first 5 hits. So, at this point, the only thing firing back are the shuttles. And I believe with 2 more hits I'm required to hit a phaser on the Klingon. Okay, so next impulse, which will be impulse 2. So my next phaser shot coming from the shuttles is going to fire. Drone moves and hits for 6. The Klingon just side slipped, I believe. It's going to go forward. All the freighters are going to move. And the shuttle's going to move. So impulse 2 is where the destroyed freighter would have fired. And I believe we said that was the shuttle. Range 5 shot for it. A 3. Range 5. Misses. And my shuttle is sitting on top of the number 4 freighter, this one. So I'll fire my phaser from that shuttle at it. And at range 1, it does 3 damage. Next impulse. The shuttle moves. and it will be a turn. The drone will move and it will hit, so I'm just going to move it over here. And that will do 6 damage more on this freighter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actually, here, I think we're allowed to take the excess before the warp engine. And my Phaser 2 at range 1 will fire at the Impulse 8 firing shuttle. When we get to fire stage, whoops, that's what I want to move. So Phaser 2 went to the shuttle for the first phaser shot into a shuttle. Range 1, shot of 4 does 4 damage. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It still has its Phaser 3. It can still shoot me. But now it would be reduced to speed 3. Next impulse, Impulse 4. Pretty much everything moves. Speed 3 does not. Speed 4s do. That would mean this shuttle here is now firing at a range of 2. Four damage. And I'm now required to take my first weapons hit. Fifth impulse. Speed 8's move. And we'll fire 2 disruptors at what will be the 4th freighter. A, B, C, D, yep. Actually, I'll just fire. Nothing at the freighters anymore. We'll continue on. No fire. The freighters move. Shuttle moves. That one is fired. That one has fired. This one is now crippled. This is the one that's about to fire. And I move as well. I will side slip. turn. Speed 3's also move. So it's shooting off of this shield. It's point blank. It's going to do 4 damage on its roll. More than likely. Let's do it. Yep, 4 damage. So that was here on fire stage. So that's 6, so only the cripple is left to fire. Klingon moves. Shuttles all move. Except for the crippled shuttle. And I'll fire my 2 disruptors into the 3rd freighter, which would be this one. So, at range 1, two dice, 5 and 5 for 10. So we have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, boom. But we'll keep it here for the ability to mark a shuttle for damage. Let's see what hex row are they up to. 16. And we would actually start slowing down freighters here at this point. One of them is moving speed 4, one of them is moving speed 1. So as you can see at this point, let me reread the directions. I think row 15 they're supposed to turn. Yeah, they're supposed to turn at row 15. So these would actually have moved down here. And they go for the 28 hex row. But at this point, only one freighter is really moving at speed. And that's the one that just turned. That was impulse 7. On the last impulse, everything moves. So those two are going to move together. These two finally reach row 15. Speed 3's even move. Klingon's going to side slip to put a shield between him and the shuttles. or at least one shield. And on fire stage, the last shuttle would fire, which is the one back here. Range 2. It rolls a 2 for 4 damage. And that's going to take out another phaser in each group of 5. So top of the turn, impulse 1, just the Klingon moves. Impulse 2. Going on turns. These 2 move. And this freighter up here is the one that's going speed 1, so the 2 of the 5, 4, and 3 kind of row here. Yeah, those ones here are the cripples. Let's move the Klingon. Whoops. Klingon SSD over. The Klingon is range 0 with a shuttle. Klingon's going to launch a drone. It's going to automatically kill that shuttle. That's actually going to be the last drone he has. On the fire stage, it's the range 0 shuttle that's firing. It does 3 damage, I think. Yep, 3 damage. And I gotta kill a weapon, so it'll take out the weapon for the drone. Since it's now done. On pulse 3, that shuttle dies when the drone hits it. Klingon moves. The shuttle and freighter move. Klingon's got 2 phaser 2s. He's going to fire a phaser 2 at range 1. Actually, it's 2 phaser 2s into this shuttle before it has a chance to fire, and it's an automatic kill because at range 1, minimum roll is a 3, so if I'm firing 2 of them, it's an automatic kill. So I've only got my disruptors left for this turn. Next impulse, that would have been on fire stage, by the way. So the shuttle that would have fired on the 4th impulse is now dead. The shuttle moves. That's a cripple, doesn't move. This shuttle, same hex as the Speed 4 freighter. It's going to fire. That shuttle's also reduced to Speed 4. Just keep pace with the freighter there. But anyway, let's roll the die roll at range 0. 3 damage. Again, the only thing left to fire are shuttles. Range 3, shuttle fires. Range 3, rolls a 2, does 2 damage. The Klingon will fire its 2 disruptors at the only freighter that's moving, this one. Whoops, I just took off a box. Let's put that on the actual fire stage. And we can remove a launch stage because there's no more launching of drones for the Klingon anymore. So 2 dice, 1 to 5s to hit for 10 damage. So the freighter's now moving speed 2. Of course, that gets applied next turn. And this one's moving speed 0. On Pulsate, the cripple shuttle fires at range 8. Rolls a 1 and does 1 damage to the Klingon. Three more hits and the Klingon has to kill another weapon. So that was the fire stage there. Next turn, top of the turn, the shuttle will fire at the freighter. Which would indeed destroy it. It's going speed 6 again. So that freighter is now destroyed. No, sorry, I got my freighters mixed up. Not yet destroyed, that's this one over here. So, roll of a die. On the fire stage, that is. Does 4 damage. So, 1, 2, 3, now boom. And the only 2 shuttles left are the ones that fire on Impulse 6 and Impulse 8. So the Klingon ship turns. Range 3. Phaser 2's minimum rolls is 3, so the 2 Phaser 2's that are FX will shoot that shuttle before it has a chance to fire. Destroys it. This is Impulse 6. This is a shuttle that fires on 8. Impulse 8, Klingon moves, shuttle moves, shuttle moves. The only moving freighter moves. And the Klingon will fire. This is actually freighter 4. It will fire its 2 disruptors on the fire stage at the freighter. And the damaged shuttle will fire at the Klingon. And range 1, 3, 2, 3, and this is UPS that's being shot for 10. I actually can't take 10, so it'll just get 1 disruptor hit actually. And we'll fire the other disruptor at the other freighter. So 1, 2, and bang, destroyed. Destroyed, and destroyed. So all the freighters are destroyed. So that disruptor only has the shuttle to fire at, and minimum hit on the shuttle would be destroyed. So at this point, the Klingon has destroyed all the ships and the shuttles. And the Klingon is pretty red for shooting at freighters. So here you go, scenario number 3. Until the next video.